Every car deal has a heartbeat. It often starts when we hand the keys over to the customer, and that moment when they finally get to take the wheel. This is where we all say the rubber meets the road. But the truth is this is that the test drive isn't about horsepower and features and all that stuff. Yes, initially the test drive was brought up to make sure that the wheels didn't fall off the thing before you were to buy it. But that moment that the customer starts to feel the car and they start to imagine ownership, they start to decide whether they can trust themselves or trust you with the rest of this process. In this episode, we're going to learn about how we can flip that test drive into this emotional connector that gets that customer to go, yes, this is absolutely perfect. You're the right person to buy it from. This is the right store. Let's do this thing. Welcome to Auto Nerd. If you've never been here before, my name's Andrew Sardone. I'm a longtime veteran in the automotive industry. I've trained thousands of sales associates over my time, and I've been with many automotive brands. I specialize in three areas: internal combustion engines, electric vehicles, and also an area called CX, or customer experience, which is what the podcast is based around. Occasionally, I sprinkle in some history in here and some ultra nerdy facts. This podcast exists to make sure that we have the skills to make a great living doing what we do every day, which is why every week I drop a bunch of tools and also usually a newsletter on Saturdays. And I must apologize. The past few weeks have been a little interesting. Somebody in their technical genius decided to click update on the webpage, and I took the whole darn thing out. So if you go over to autonerd.com right now, it is a kind of half cobbled together webpage that breaks down all of AutoForge, a little bit of Auto Shop, and it will be under construction for a little bit. The Auto Shop services are coming fairly soon. The AutoForge is up and running. So if anybody wants details on that, just go to autonerd.com. That's AUTOKNERD.com, and you can get all the information on the AutoForge to help repair your dealership's CSI. It's something that we're really proud of over here. We're putting a lot of work into it. Now back to the podcast. Picture this. A nervous couple walks through your front door. They've done the research. They've looked on every single car blog. They've looked on Facebook. They've looked on Reddit. They've been all over the place researching how exactly to not only find the right car, but how to buy one as well. They walk in, they talk to you, you sit them down, you learn everything that you possibly can about them. Now, after you've learned about them, all of a sudden you decide, hey, I'm going to paint the picture and show the car. Now, you do everything again correctly. You take the information that they've given you, you paint one heck of a beautiful picture for them on your presentation, and they are loving you. You then put them in the vehicle where you have them held captive, and here comes the waterfall. The pain of it all is we start to data dump. We throw everything at them. And when we are just wanting to seal that deal on up, we take away the one really big button that we have to push. And the easiest way to go ahead and push this thing is to let the customer just think on it. Because here's the deal. When you have that time of quiet, that time to be able to think and be able to understand and say to yourself, hey, this fits me, then you have the time to make the decision. As I said in the last podcast, emotion is the driver that we're going for here because emotion will get the customer to say yes above and beyond anything else. If we allow for logic to dictate the whole plan just falls apart and goes to hell in a handbasket. We need to make sure that the customer has every ability inside their head to stage themselves to say yes. So, with this, take the time. Be quiet. Don't kill your deal. Now, imagine you decided to dedicate yourself to just changing it up a little bit. You hand them the keys and you just tell them, hey, I'm going to sit quietly. You take your time. And if you need help, you let me know. And in the test drive, you don't say a word. This is pretty cool because they're going to drive and you're going to be able to observe. Remember, they came in because they want to buy a car. And most of the time, we talk them out of it. But if you sit there and you listen, all of a sudden you're going to hear them pipe up or say something like, this fits me. Now we have the ability to debrief them after the test drive. Because if they've been paying attention to the drive the whole time and the car and the feel and everything about it, now we can have some conversation that is heavily based in emotion. You see, your deal is incredibly easy to kill if we don't shut up and let the customer just process what is going on inside of their head. Because when people are processing, when they're on that test drive, when there's that silence, when you set down the numbers in front of them, that silence is the customer inside their head going, oh, okay, how do I pull this off? What do I do here? Most people don't go directly to the no, but this is how you get the I'm just lookings is where it's nice, but and we know that but is going to be a deal killer because as we show them so much, all of a sudden the brain gets bogged down, and as the brain gets bogged down, this is when people start to go, I gotta think because they quite literally do, and we call it a reflex objection, but put yourself in that position. Really think about it. If you have to take the time to take pause, usually you do it when you're about to make a big decision. And a car is usually for a lot of people that second most expensive thing that they're ever going to buy. So it's worth the time to take a pause when you're a little confused. But it's our job to not confuse them. But the proof, it's in the nerd stats here. According to CDK Global, I'm starting to love these guys for stats. More than 1,000 new car buyers, 78% of these people said that the test drive alone was the moment that sold them on the vehicle. And mentioning this in the last podcast, I can't simply credit just the car because there's so much more that goes on into it. But the next stat kind of backs this up. In the same survey, when we dig a little bit deeper, we found that 54% said that they had the ability to take a test drive at the dealership. Therefore, they came in and didn't buy from a place online. Personally, I found that to be a very heartwarming statistic because I don't think, as car sales consultants, that we will actually ever be replaced. That's pretty deep seated there, but that tells me that there is definitely a long term home for us. So, quick little sidebar. But as far as people making the decision, that's a huge one. They come to the dealership to look for a vehicle, talk to someone, and hopefully buy it because online buying still isn't trusted by everybody. But another report finds that 69% of buyers called the test drive the most crucial part of their buying journey. That's up from 42% just the year before. And this actually makes a lot of sense because there's so many different options that are out there now. You got gas, hybrid, PHEV, a couple of EREVs out there, and straight EV. So there's just so much that's going on. This is a beautiful one. And it gives me a lot of hope for the future in our industry. Is that Urban Science did a little bit of a study and they found out that the in person test drive is unbreakable. There's nothing that can replace it. And this is beautiful. 82% of adults say that some part of the vehicle purchase processes simply cannot be replicated online. Yeah, we've all played with these simulators and they're there, but they're not all the way there. And 80% of those participants pointed directly at the test drive for what made their decision. And that goes right with the previous stance there is that the test drive does matter. So why does this matter so much? It means that the test drive is no longer just a formality. It's no longer just a, hey, you want to drive it and see if you like it and get jazzed up about it. It's an emotional pivot of the deal. If you execute it well, you're capturing anywhere from 7 to 10 potentials. If you blow it, you're handing them back directly to Google and the competition to just do what they do with them. So, with the test drive, we got to take this seriously. We have to make sure that the customer goes into this area super emotionally charged and ready to make that decision and say yes right before the test drive. And if that happens, now the test drive is all about justification and the customer coming to their own terms of saying yes to this thing. This is why I tell people closing, it's an absolute freaking joke because when you do this right, the customer simply willingly buys. Here's a framework that I like to commonly teach consultants, and it's called the emotion window. The emotion window has two key moments to it. It has the ignition moment and it has the return moment. The ignition moment is the first 60 seconds after the engine starts. What are they thinking? Are they comfortable? Are they curious? Are they imagining the drive home? Whatever it might be. But that's hopefully what's going through their head at this point. The return moment is the last 60 seconds before the test drive, before they shut the car off. What do they feel? Do they feel ownership? Do they feel relief? Do they feel excitement? Your job during these moments is not to talk more. Actually, that's killing your deal. It's to observe. It's to let the car simply just talk for itself at these times and then ask the right debrief questions when the time is perfect. If you dominate the ignition and return windows, you're going to dominate the decision as well. Again, a lot of this has to do with us just being quiet and seeing the world around us through the customer's eyes and just being aware. Here are four common mistakes that I see happen the most. The first one is going to be the info dump. And I was guilty of this until somebody pointed it out. It took me a while to actually get out of it. And the info dump or the data dump or the waterfall is where you talk them through every single little feature that's on the car. You kill the sensory experience. The whole touch the seat, touch the steering wheel, the new car smell. You're overriding all of that. You're wasting all the brain space. And you're also taking up a lot of the time that the customer would be concentrating on something else. Remember, they're not buying you. You are an important part of this, but they're buying the car. We need to let them actually experience the machine that they're driving. And then there's the poor test drive route. It's as though we try to shortcut this thing and say, well, due to insurance purposes, it's all right turns. Hey, listen, I've heard that a million times, and every single time I can call you out and go, no, that's false. It's not true at all. When it comes down to all right turns or lame test drive routes that managers put out there, and if you are a manager and you have a lame test drive route, cut it out. Your customers are coming in wanting to experience a vehicle, wanting to drive a vehicle, wanting to feel it. And when you have things like no stops, no highway variations, no personal feel, this leaves a completely uninspired test drive. And if 80% of people in one poll are saying that the test drive is what sealed the deal for them, they point directly at it, well, it's worth our time to make sure that it's also an entertaining part. There's also another stat. It's a very old one, and it goes along with the feel the wheel seals the deal kind of trend, is that the longer the test drive is, the higher the likeliness is the customer's going to purchase it. It's kind of crazy. Is that if the customer can put themselves in situations where they drive every day and justify their emotional state as being positive and having logic come in and go, oh, yep, everything's good, they're buying the car. Now, this kind of goes back to the first one a little bit about info dumping. But there's a lot of things that we can talk about. And I'm a huge advocate of if there's going to be a conversation in the vehicle, I'm going to try to make it about something about their personal life. Try to tie it back to the vehicle and earn the vehicle a couple extra brownie points. But ignoring the silence that's inside the vehicle and filling every single second with a word, you're not just sucking up the oxygen inside the vehicle, you're sucking up the space inside the customer's brain for them to actually decide if they want to do something with you. Don't put yourself in that position. So take a moment on that test drive and take a break. Just observe. It's going to be worth it. And the last one here just makes me laugh every time because it's such an obvious deal breaker. It's the fact that we want to get back to the dealership to apparently close the deal more quickly. Okay, cool. You want to get back to the store so you can make your coin and get your paycheck. Awesome. You want to get back to the store so your manager doesn't yell at you because you apparently were gone too long with the customer that was attempting to decide on whether they were going to buy the vehicle or not. The rushed return is something that shows a massive sign of disrespect for the person that is there to pay your mortgage, make your car payment, pay your rent. You pull back into the dealership just far too early for the customer to experience what they needed to experience. You cut them off and you didn't give them a chance to actually reflect on it, and you sure as heck aren't debriefing it when you get out of the car. You completely hijack their what do you think moment. And really, that's not fair. The person should have that ability to make that decision and have the time to be able to pull that off. But if you want to rush it and ignore that silence and yak the whole time in there and have your all rights around the world test drive route, that might as well just be go around a cul-de-sac and completely info dump on them. Go for it. Seriously. And watch what happens because all of a sudden customers are going to look at you and go, no, I'm just looking. No, I'm good. No, I just need to get out of here. Because that mental bandwidth that we suck up has a way more value to it than we give it weight for. So slow your roll when you're in the vehicle. Let them have them. And if you avoid those, you'll be ahead of so many other stores that are out there. Because remember, we are the number one reason the customer doesn't buy as well. And a lot of the times that they don't buy, it's because we just get a little annoying. And that's obviously not something that any of us want. Now, this week's tool, the free tier, I always add in a few scripts to just let you understand what's going on here. And the pro tier, which is going to be free attached to this, will have the activities that I'll be charging for in the future. But you can kind of get an idea of what it looks like. And with the elite, which will be available for purchase sometime soon, you will get a whole lot more to service your whole store. But with the free tool, these scripts still have an awful lot of weight, which is why I like to make them free. I want to be able to help everybody out here. So the free tool, check it out. It's in the show notes. A few scripts that'll help you out. Take your time. I'll write along quietly so you can get the feel of it. Okay, cool. And the customer will absolutely go along with that. What stands out to you so far? Or, hey, there's no hurry here. Let's take 5 minutes to imagine you driving this thing tomorrow morning on your way to work. What does that look like? Is that close by? You want to take it down those roads. But when we compare it to some really bad scripts that I hear an awful lot, is things like, okay, let me show you every single highway driving assist feature that's on here. Or, yeah, you'll see how it works once you enable it. Just hit that button right there. And with zero explanation. Now, to help get rid of some of these bad scripts that will usually fly out of our mouths, these little one-liners, try role playing with, let's say, your manager or with another consultant or with another manager if you're the manager listening. With a partner, alternate. One of you drives the vehicle, one of you plays the role of the customer. You ride as the consultant. After the drive, debrief with a simple question. And this is the only one that I'm asking you to practice. What stood out most? After you get out of the vehicle, look at them, smile. What stood out most? Stop talking for about 30 seconds. Just shut up. Let them answer and let the whole answer get out. Don't interrupt them. Don't say, hey, let's move inside. Don't try to close them. You're amping up their emotional state. And once they tell you, roll along with it. Lift that emotional state up further and keep excitement rolling all the way back to your desk. Once you're at your desk, time to go ahead and just show them some numbers. They're ready to buy it because that silence is what's going to make the answer. And that answer is ownership. Now, for managers or consultants that want to work together and help each other out, this is your moment. This is your moment to lead, and this is your moment to get your team rallied around you. When you coach your team, look for these traits. And here's how this is going to go. Did the consultant on the test drive, did they enter into that ignition window with minimal talk? My suggestion here is that when you start this activity, don't even mention what you're looking for in the beginning. Let the consultant establish a baseline. And then when you get to your normal switch point on the test drive, continue driving as a manager and then coach them on it. Is like, hey, give me 30 seconds when we get in the vehicle. Don't say a word. Allow me to drive. At the end, same thing too when they get out of the vehicle. But during the drive, did they notice cues like glances, your posture, a smile, a comment? Or was it just silence the whole way? But on return to the dealership, did the consultant or whoever you might be coaching try to shift the conversation to more of a feeling, more of an emotion rather than a feature? Because features are yes, no things that need to be decided on, the emotion needs to be built, and then we need to confirm that we actually want the thing and make it iron out any confusion about it. The feature isn't helping us sell another item. When they get back to the dealership, was the conversation continued down an emotional path? A little coaching script for you here is tell me what you heard when you stopped talking. What did you see? What did you feel? Why didn't you ask me this question? When we got out of the vehicle, would it have been advantageous of you to ask me what stood out to me or what I really enjoyed about the vehicle instead of throwing something else in there that I would have to decide on? So during your manager meeting this week or during your sales meeting this week, spend about 15 minutes doing a simulated test drive. Maybe you just go ahead and do it in the shop, or maybe just grab a car on the showroom floor. Sure, it's going to feel awkward, but the practice will be well worth it in the end. But debrief using these questions is simply what stood out to you, or tell me what you heard when you simply just stopped talking. What information did you gain from that? Because again, in the customer's head, the customer's now justifying and they're coming to the decision of ownership. When you throw out another feature, now you're introducing logic back to the equation and justification. That's not helping you sell it. But let's zoom out just a little bit here. If your test drive process consistently creates ownership, several metrics start to improve rapidly. The first one's going to be your conversion rate. Your conversion rate's going to go up because your customers are being closed on emotional decisions rather than an argument over price. Nobody really enjoys negotiation. Most of the time, when people come in, it is all about making them happier. And here's the crazy part about this is that when you close them on an emotional high and the customer's voice is being heard, your CSI goes up a lot. And it's not just because that they got the car that they wanted. They had a great experience. Back to that restaurant example. If the restaurant that you've loved for a long time, all of a sudden the front end of the house, servers, wait staff, that kind of thing, all does a downward slide. The food's the same, the drinks are the same, everything's the same, including the price. Your tip will go down because of the poor service. Eventually you will stop going. But if things are enjoyable, you will return for that mediocre food over and over and over again, pay too much, and tip gladly. And lastly, your F&I time plummets. And this is actually really cool. I didn't think that this was going to be a thing, but after observation and reflecting on it a little bit, here's the kicker. Buyers who have made that ownership decision early, buyers that have talked to somebody that they can know and trust and like and that whole bag, they want that vehicle and they want to protect that vehicle. So if they're emotionally charged and they said, hey, yeah, I'm going to buy this thing, then they're going to buy faster. F&I is going to be able to clear that pipeline a lot more quickly. And if you educate F&I on they need that tire package, they need that underbody package or whatever it might be, you can then have F&I minimize the number of items that they're going to show. And this will reduce hold times because nobody wants to be waiting 45 minutes to an hour and a half to get into F&I. I know you're not walking into a fast food joint or anything, and the customer knows that as well. But to sit around for 2 hours while you're waiting for paperwork is painful. A lot of the times it comes down to the customer just still trying to make that decision on, do I need to buy it? Do I not? And F&I in the end, they become your pretty strong, extreme closers. And if we can get that emotional tension of, oh, I don't know, out of the way and get them in a positive place with emotion, logic comes in, checks that box and says, this is a good idea. Let's protect this thing. Let's keep going. And all of a sudden, that customer that goes in there and a projected, let's say 11% comes out at 18% and they have a smile on their face. Crazy stuff. We don't control their credit. It is what it is. But if we can get them to take mental ownership in that emotional spot, things start to change in a positive way for us. But remember, the average customer today visits 1.4 dealerships. That's it. 1.4 dealerships before they purchase. Crazy thing called the internet was invented in a decade ago. It was 4.5. Your customers would come in with a far lower closing rate than they did before. Now they're reporting that if I don't get a good experience, I simply go to the same brand, but across town. And many times the customer is too timid to turn around and come back if the price was too high. And we've seen this happen many times when you throw a customer a price and they say, I bought it from you because you were nice to me and allowed me to buy it. And those guys over there, a whole bunch of jerks, and they were charging me less, but you were a pleasant person to deal with. The test drive is that final handshake in this whole emotional process, that ability to let the customer know, hey, I was listening to you the whole time and we showed you the right stuff. You got the right car. You seem to really love this thing. Our time to impress them is shrinking. People are demanding faster services. People are demanding less pressure, which means that we need to become that partner for the customer as they come in and they go shopping for their vehicle. So, a few little takeaways for this week. Silence is an absence. It's space for the customer to feel ownership, but the space for the customer to visualize themselves actually enjoying this thing long term, maybe fulfilling a dream that they've had for the past few years. So focus on those ignition and return windows because the ignition and return windows are where the average consultant just completely tanks it because you're talking too early or you're just sucking up all the air in the room. Then also get that drive plan down. Go out, take a vehicle. You should be test driving all your cars anyways, just to make sure that you know what they are. But as you're out there test driving, take a left turn, take a right turn, see what's up that hill, go up to the water tower, whatever it might be, but make it enough time. Then you can have an enjoyable conversation with the customer if the conversation comes up, but it's enough where the customer has an experience that actually matters, giving them the time to reflect on why exactly they are there and make that decision to put it in their driveway. And then in the end, debrief with feeling based questions in the end. When they get out of the car, just simply ask them things that beef up their positive feelings. If they're beefing up their positive feelings, your gross is starting to improve. If the customer has to justify in the end where the value proposition is because their emotional state is not with it, well, congratulations, there's your mini. So your challenge this week during the next 5 test drives that you lead. Commit to less than 60 seconds of your own talk during the test drive. Try it. Just give it a shot. It might feel weird, but you're going to find something pretty interesting is that you can use the stopwatch on your phone, use it on your timer, and after each test drive, log it. What cue did you observe during that ignition area? What did you ask at the return once they finally put the car in park? What the customers say and write them down. By writing them down, this shows you how to orient yourself. It shows you, am I doing the right thing? Do I need to take a right here? Do I need to take a left? Do I need to massage this question a little bit to make it just land right on somebody's ears? It's right in my head, but it doesn't seem to be connecting. And then managers, when you can, run a 15-minute simulation. Or if you're a consultant and you just want to own dealership training, run a 15-minute simulation with 2 consultants. Use some sort of chart or rubric that I've built into the Pro tool, free in the notes, that covers things like observation, listening, timing, and the debrief quality. And score each one of them on a scale of 1 to 5. 5 being awesome, 1 being absolutely stinking terrible. But this allows you a benchmark of being able to say, okay, we did good here, we did bad here, and we just got to work on a couple little things. Because many times when we lose the deal, it's simply because our skill set might just be a little soft in one area or another. But identify one consultant who naturally lives in that zone of silence and pair them up as a mentor for that week. And maybe we just go ahead and we call it like, this is your quiet ride week. Because your customers are coming in there already looking to buy. And if we're giving them reasons to not buy, it may very well be because we're just talking a lot. But does the engine start? Yeah, it does. But the deal doesn't fully start until the customer actually feels the thing. As we saw through some of those pretty powerful stats in the beginning, the moment the customer starts to picturize themselves driving it home, parking in their driveway, turning heads, waving at the neighbor, bragging about their new vehicle, that's when they start enjoying it. And realistically, think about it yourself. How many cars have you seen that you've been like, nah, not for me? And then you drive it and go, you know what? I'd be proud to put this thing in my driveway because the metal is actually what moves them. The feel of the wheel, right, seals that deal. And we're the individuals that are molding the customer experience for them at that time. You see, your job on the test drive is not to show off the features. It's to give them the space to feel the promise of being able to drive that thing away. After that, you hand them the keys and you simply step back. It's their time to experience this now. You set the stage. Because when you say less, they do talk more. And when they talk more, they buy themselves. That's how you turn the test drive into a decision. That's how you create moments that move metal. This is how you get the customer to do what you need them to do, and that's give you a paycheck in the end. So this week, thanks for listening. Again, I'm Andrew Sardone from Auto Nerd. If you want that free tool, again, it's in the chat. Please go ahead and click the subscribe button. It does help me out a whole lot. And if you want that newsletter, click the link in the chat. Check it out. If you want to hear about AutoForge or check AutoForge out for repairing your team CSI, please also click the AutoForge link in the chat. It'll take you right on over. And if you want more information, just fill out the whole form over there and we'll hit you up in about 24 hours and we'll talk about some options to fix your CSI at your store. But until next week, I'll talk to you all a little bit later. Good luck on those silent test drives, and I hope you can pull it off, and I hope your grosses go up. So get out there, spread the kindness, spread the caring, and I'll see you all next Thursday. Bye.